Welcome back to the Deadlight Society. I'm Adam.
And I'm Michael.
And fuck podcast editing.
Yeah,
I'm over this.
We got some feedback that, our audio quality was not the greatest in episode 1 or episode 2, and we were definitely aware of that when we were recording them and when we were editing it, putting it out. We understood that, but, we just got really cheap mics that were, not the best, but just starter, just to get something up and running.
Little lapel mics that you just plug into your phone.
Yes.
Wasn't anything that advanced.
Yeah,
wasn't like Shure Rode mics that we had.
Yeah, so we started with those. We knew it wasn't the best, but we were just trying to, get something out there and produce something. And we had the feedback, so we've upgraded to some better mics.
But in the process, we filmed the intro for this episode. I deleted it like an idiot. It sounded like garbage because I didn't have everything equalized and compressed right. So now, here we are with a little bit better editing, trying to go back and read this intro.
Yes.
In the meantime, having 80 more different issues with these new mics and trying to figure out the audio and echo issue.
We've probably spent at least 3 hours trying to get this, in total, from the first shooting that we were doing for this, and then today, what we're recording. We've spent at least 3 hours trying to get everything working the way that it's supposed to be, trying to put blankets up all around to try to stop the fucking echo.
It's been a nightmare.
Yes, to say the least, but, this probably isn't going to be perfect either, but we're working at it, we're getting there, just bear with us while we're trying to make this work and trying to figure out new things. So we just wanted to start with that in the beginning of this episode, because if you still notice some, audio quality issues, just know that we're aware of it. We're trying to work and figure out a solution. If anybody has any suggestions and you want to hit us up and let us know what you're thinking, we're going to be looking into, what are those things called that you were asking me to look at?
Acoustic foam.
Yeah, we're going to be looking into those shortly, maybe getting some of those hung up around and try to help with some of the issues that we're running into now. But other than that, if anybody has any other suggestions that they want to shoot our way, we are open to them fully.
Yeah, it's not like I'm renting this place, so it's not like I can completely overhaul it and turn it into a studio, but I can definitely do some shit to it to make it better.
Yeah, so we wanted to start with that, so we appreciate the feedback. We're working on it. Bear with us. Kind of just...
Yeah, please bear with us. Yeah. It's tiring.
Yes, very. We haven't...
I'm annoyed. I'm over it.
Yeah, he's got some roid rage right now, which isn't helping, but we'll be all right. We'll figure it out. It's definitely an improvement from the first 2 episodes, and we hope that you'll notice that and appreciate it. But still not perfect, like we said, but we'll get there. So just hang on, bear with us. But this week's episode is Candyman. We are doing the OG and the 2021 remake that just came out, or I guess sequel. It's a sequel to the first one.
I like to call them requels now.
Yes, basically.
I feel like an old person saying that.
Yeah.
With Halloween, Scream, Texas Chainsaw, it's, they're requels. They're in the main storyline, but it's new, so it's a sequel. Shut up.
Yeah. So those are the 2 that we're focusing on. We do know that there are, 2 original sequels to the original one that came out in the 90s, but we're skipping those for this podcast episode. We're literally just doing the 1992 and the 2021. Which... Yeah,
the new one overwrites the 2 sequels,
yes, right? Yeah, it just continues off of the first original movie. And before this episode, I had never seen Candyman at all. I knew the movies existed, and I feel ashamed to admit I've never seen them because they are such iconic movies in the horror community. So, I'm ashamed to admit that, but I was excited when we were moving into this episode because I wanted to see them, and I bought the 2-pack that they have at Walmart right now, which is just the 1992 and the 2021, and I bought that. Couldn't wait to dive into them. And I was, the intro that we taped previously, I was talking about basically that I've never seen them before, but I can't say that now because I have seen them, but only once. But we'll dive into them for you guys. I'm sure most of you people have already seen them or heard of them or whatever, but iconic. Tony Todd, dope. And fun fact, they wanted Eddie Murphy to play the role of Candyman.
You're on this fact, and I hate it because I hate Eddie Murphy as a person.
I read it in the trivia thing when we were going over like the facts of this movie or whatever, and I read it in the trivia thing that they were trying to get Eddie Murphy to play Candyman, and I just cracked the fuck up because I cannot imagine
how this movie would have been ruined like 40 different ways if they had Eddie Murphy instead of Tony Todd for Candyman.
I almost want to see like SNL do a skit on it and actually have him come in as that role.
They might.
That would be.
They
so
might have
funny.
already have done it.
Maybe, yeah, I'm not sure, but that would be hilarious. I'm sorry, that would have been such a bad choice.
Definitely.
I'm so glad they went with Tony Todd, but it would have been funny nevertheless. Also, the bees, many bees,
A lot of bees.
a lot of bees,
So many bees.
so many bees, and throughout the filming of Candyman 1, 2, and 3, Tony Todd was actually stung 26 times.
Which is very, very surprising considering I don't know how many it was like how many thousand bees were like specifically bred for this movie.
I want to say like 10,000, but that could be wrong. But I feel like
it
that's the
might
number.
be more than that. It might be
have
like
been
14 or 15.
Something like a lot of bees, but they were bred.
So many bees.
Yes, but they bred them specifically for this movie because they wanted bees that looked mature, but weren't able to really hurt or do any damage to the actors if they were stung. So also the actress who plays Helen in this, she was allergic to bees. So when
that I didn't know.
yeah, when she was applying for the role and they were auditioning and they were going to give it to her, she was kind of skeptical and was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to take it because you guys are going to be using real bees. And I don't know if it was the director or somebody in the production was like, we don't believe you. Like, you're just saying it to get out of the movie. So they actually had her go to the doctors and actually get tested. And it turns out she is allergic to bees, but she's allergic to wasps more than anything. So they told her that she should be okay if she proceeds with the movie. And I mean, obviously she did. They just had to have like an ambulance on standby just in case. But
that'd be funny as fuck if it was Clive Barker. Be like, you're not allergic to fucking bees. Fuck you.
I don't know who it was.
The nicest guy in the world.
I don't know who it was.
Allergic to fucking bees.
I did read it in the trivia though that I was reading over, and I thought that was funny, and I was like, oh wow.
That's fucked up. Honestly.
Yeah, we don't believe you. You're lying. Like, what, bitch?
Like, what the hell? Just believe the person.
Right? Yeah, that's funny. That was funny. I did read that, and I was just like, okay, cool. But also some another just fun fact. I know I wasn't going to go into too many of them, but another one was in the scenes in this movie where she's looking hypnotized or whatever, they actually had a real hypnotist on set that was actually hypnotizing her, and they only did it a few times because then she told them that she felt uncomfortable and she didn't want them to do it anymore. So they stopped. But like some of the scenes in here, I guess when she's looking a little bit hypnotized, like under Candyman's spell, she actually was being hypnotized in real life.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I read that in the trivia too, and I thought that was interesting. And she was just so like put off by it that she was like, "No, we can't do this anymore."
Sounds like they kind of mistreated Helen a little bit during filming.
Yeah, it seems that way. But I mean, the output of this movie is great.
I guess as long as I stopped, like when they asked, like when she asked them to, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, okay, consent and everything.
Yeah. I'm sure they had her consent to
But it's
start
still
it.
weird to even just like, hey, we're gonna hypnotize you now for this scene. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's wild. I saw that when I was reading the trivia, and I was like, definitely want to bring that up. But I think that's all the fun ones or the interesting ones that I read were just kind of those like.
That's not fun.
Not fun. That's
not
right.
fun.
Interesting. Interesting would be the better word. The interesting facts that I read from it in the trivia.
I think that's everything that we have, and then we can just like get right into the movie now.
Yeah, I feel like it. Just want to follow up that we've created new pages. So the podcast is available now on Amazon Music and Apple Podcasts, and as well as Spotify, YouTube. We have a TikTok account now as well, and just want to throw out a bone here that if you have a TikTok, please go follow it. It would be nice if we could get to the I think it's 1,000 followers that you need before you can start going live on TikTok. I think that's the right number, but it would be cool to be able to reach that so that we can actually go live, like maybe while we're recording or like while we're watching the movie or something. Like I think that would be a dope idea. So if you have a TikTok, go look us up, the Deadlight Society. It's kind of our tagline on every social media site. So
we're on all major platforms now.
Yes,
every single one.
Yep,
except for like iHeart and.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah.
it's kind
I
of...
don't think they allow anything that they don't pay for on there.
Yeah, but... Anyway, anywhere you can find podcasts, pretty much, we're there.
Yep.
So go, follow our pages, rate our podcast. Adam's kind of on that right now so that we can show up on the algorithms a little bit better. If you can give us a rate wherever you're at, or a thumbs up on YouTube, just something, like, if you're following
rate us
along.
5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so it'll get us seen by more people.
Yes.
Get us bigger following, help us out a bunch.
Yes, so we appreciate you if you do that for us. That would be dope. But I think that's really all that we have intro for you. Most people, like I said, have seen this movie already, so we're just going to jump right into it, and then we'll be back to discuss more in depth. So, spoiler warning. After this point, we're going to get into some details of the movie and discuss it in depth. So, if you don't want to hear that and you want to watch it first, or if you want to rewatch it, go do that first, and then come back to part 2, and we'll continue from there.
See you after the break.
Yep.
Have you ever heard of Candyman? If you look in the mirror, you say his name 5 times.
In cities everywhere,
Candyman?
they whisper his name.
Right. Candyman.
It's just a story,
Candyman?
Candyman.
just a ghost story.
Candyman.
An entire community starts attributing the daily horrors of their lives to a mythical figure.
The legend first appeared in 1890. He was attacked, mutilated, and burned to death. Poor Candyman.
Helen, a woman died in there. Leave it.
Everyone knows he isn't real.
That's modern oral folklore.
Everyone. Except Helen Lyle.
Bernadette! It ain't safe around here. I don't scare too easy.
Don't know about Ruthie Jean? They ain't never gonna catch him.
Who?
Candyman.
Who is that?
I came for you.
Do I know you?
Now she is about to discover
Helen? Get out! Get out!
what's behind the mystery.
I'm sick.
What's behind the legend.
Listen, he's under the bed!
And most terrifying of all,
Come with me.
what's behind the mirror.
He's here.
Candyman. You don't have to believe. Just beware.
All right, well, that was a movie. I know I said I wasn't going to start with that. I can't believe I've never seen this movie before. Definitely top 10, for sure.
100%.
100%. 1000%. There were certain scenes in this movie where I was getting a little bit irritated, but the ending definitely plays off for that. If you've never seen this movie, watch it. I mean, if you're a horror fan, you definitely should have seen it by now. I'm ashamed that this is my first time watching it. Don't bully me for that, but I'm very glad I watched it, and it is well done, like start to finish. I definitely need to watch it again and show more people this movie because I loved it. It was great.
I fucking love this movie. Going from Midsummer to this,
Oh, 100%. This was so much
this
more
is
enjoyable.
one of my favorite horror movies.
Yes. I'm definitely going to put it up there with mine too. Like I said, like top 10. And I know we discussed our favorite movies in the beginning of this episode. And yours is Halloween. Mine is It. But this is definitely top 10. I'm not gonna lie.
For one, it's based on a story from, spoiler alert from this point on.
Yes. Spoilers ahead.
Based on a story by Clive Barker. Clive Barker is up there with Stephen King as the top horror writers of all time. He is so good. His writing is so eloquent. I have The Damnation Game. I haven't read through all of it, but what I have read of it, I love it. I've read The Scarlet Gospels already, which is another one of his stories. And he produced and helped on the story, I guess, and writing process of this. Holy hell, you can really tell that his influence is on that. Like, one of his big things in his writing is it's a lot of Lovecraft leaks into him. Like, that was one of his favorite authors. And he's very open about his pulls from, you can tell in this movie, it's so existential and like you don't see the horror around you until people are dead. So it's so fucking weird. In that one scene you have her like on the security cameras. You don't see Candyman at all, but he is there and he is hurting her. Like, it's so, you're staring into the void and nothing is staring back.
That was something when they played that back when she's in the mental hospital and the doctor is talking to her and he's like, well, this is the recording of you. Like, was he in the room with you? And playing it back and there's nobody there and she's freaking out. And it's just like, it's crazy that he's so real because he literally kills people. Like, his hook is like demolishing people left and right, and then they play this back and there's nobody there in the room with her, and it's just like, it's wild. But I guess that's the tale of him, is that he's not real, but he's real. Like, it's scary.
Yeah, you're questioning your sanity this whole movie.
Yeah.
At least the characters are.
Yeah.
That plays off of that Lovecraft aspect of it, because insanity and like humans' thin veil of reality shatter in an instant. Like, you see something massive and that you don't understand, your sense of reality is gone. Seep into madness.
Yeah, I know. It was definitely like when she first sees him, like after the fact, after she calls him and she's in the parking garage and he like puts her under that spell, and then she wakes up in the girl's house in the projects and the dog's dead. The dog's head is severed off and she's like crying. The lady's crying in this crib because her baby's presumed dead. It's just like, wow, like where is this gap of time? Like, how did he, like, it's just crazy. Like, I didn't expect it from this movie. I've never seen it, so I really didn't know what to expect. And I'm curious to see what the sequel that we're going to watch next, the 2021, is going to go off of, because at the end of this movie, Candyman dies. And I've never seen sequels that they made to this movie when it first came out. There was like 2 more sequels, I think, that first came out. I haven't seen those, so I'm also curious to see those and see where they took the story after the fact, because dies. So is it now Helen that's coming back and killing people and taking on this role of Candyman? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think that would be interesting. That's what I loved about the ending for sure, is that she finally kind of gets her revenge against her shitty boyfriend, Trevor, who was cheating on her the whole time with one of his students.
Oh yeah, fuck Trevor and fuck Stacy.
Absolutely.
Probably should go back into like the beginning a little bit, like what leads to like all this shit happening. Basically, like, Helen is studying folklore, and so is her husband, who's a professor. I guess she's still in her graduate studies. She's writing her thesis on Candyman.
With her friend Bernadette.
Yeah, with her friend Bernadette. It's a local legend. Basically, the gist of it is a slave gets killed for impregnating a white woman. They sever off his hand, they jam a hook in there, and they throw him, like, into an apiary covered in honey, and then he gets like swarmed by bees and dies. Which is where we learned 1,100 bee stings to kill a human.
He looked it up while we were watching the movie,
so
and he's
curious.
like, "Oh yeah, I wonder how many bee stings it actually takes." So apparently it's 1,100. It's a little bit less for children, but for adults, it's 1,100 bee stings.
500 kids.
Yeah. So that's how many it takes.
Don't get stung by a lot of bees, and don't fall into beehives in an apiary.
I'll try not to.
You might wind up like Candyman.
I mean, hopefully without the hook in your hand, but yeah, you might end up. Or like My Girl, that movie.
Oh,
with Thomas J.
Yeah. But anyway, after he dies in the apiary, they just burn his body, and that's how you get Candyman, who gets called by 5 times, right?
Yes, 5. You say his name 5 times in the mirror, and he appears. I have a bone to pick with that, by the way. I do. As we're watching the beginning of this movie, and it's the first couple, the girl dies from that, but the boyfriend is the one who said Candyman 4 times in the mirror, okay? It wasn't the girl. The boyfriend said it. And then he goes downstairs. He's waiting for his girlfriend to do whatever she's going to do, presuming she was trying to get herself all dolled up because they're about to, do the naughty. But does she say it again? She says it again, right?
Yeah, she says it.
Okay, so she says it the 5th time. So I understand that, but like she didn't say it the other 4 times. So it should start over.
I don't think it's that deep. I
know, but that irritated me.
Like, you start the curse, and then it's like whoever's present at that time who says the last one.
I get it. I do understand that that's the premise behind it, but that irritated me right from the go.
You're just reading way too far into it.
As soon as it happened, I was like, what do you mean? Like, why is he going to kill her? She didn't say it 5 times. She said it once. The other dude said it 4 times. And then only she died. He was in the room with her. Why didn't he die?
By the way, Billy is played by Sam Raimi, brother Ted.
He was like, who is that? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure.
I forgot his name. Like, I knew it was the Raimi brother, but I just forgot his name.
So he, paused the movie to look it up, and then he showed me the clip from Spider-Man, and yeah, so that was interesting. But
Old the Leo thing.
Yeah, I
know him.
I don't know. I have a bone to pick with that beginning. I don't like the way that Candyman can be summoned. I feel like it should be one person. Not necessarily one person, but it should be the person who says Candyman 5 times who dies. And that's the same thing when he kills Bernadette later on in the movie, which is the girl that's studying the folklore with Helen, her best friend. He kills her, and she didn't even say Candyman, ever.
I think that's the whole point of that kill, though. Like, yeah, because the second that Helen said it, Candyman was only after her. Bernadette kind of disappears for a while. It's not until Bernadette actually comes while Candyman is there, and then I guess he inhabits Helen.
Pretty much.
I think Candyman's obviously, he's just trying to go out of his way to frame Helen for this, so she starts questioning. So all this time he's framing her to do it, so it does make sense that she's there to, like, check up on her. Obviously, she's going to be the target.
I mean, I get it, but she didn't do anything, Candyman.
It's a horror movie. Everybody who doesn't deserve it dies.
I know, I get that. I do. I understand. Like, it's for the dramatic effect of it, and I get it. But, like, I was just so sad to see her killed because she didn't deserve it.
She was gutted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. that was... Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just like the scene when Helen is going back to the projects at the Cabrini Green place, and she's talking to the little kid about, like, oh, where can you find Candyman? And he takes her to this little, like, bathroom hut thing that apparently another boy was murdered there, and all you see in that is, like, when they flash back when that kid was actually killed, when Candyman, like, cuts off his dick, there's all this blood and gore. Like, I do appreciate that aspect from this movie, that they show you all this, like, it's bloody, and it doesn't disgusting.
Yeah, it doesn't linger on it too.
Yes.
So, like, it's really quick flashes of really brutal things, and then so it, like, sits with you, like, holy shit, did I actually just see that?
Yeah, I appreciate that with it. Some people might think that that's weird, that that's a good thing from the movie, but
I like horror movies that do that so much more. Like, that was one of the biggest gripes with, is I hate when the shots linger on the heads, because you don't get that aspect of shock where you're like, did I actually just witness that? You're not sitting there questioning it, which builds your anxiety up. You know that you've seen it because it's shown so many times and it lingers on it for so long. You're like, yeah, obviously I did see that. It doesn't make you question anything. It doesn't make you question the unknown. So just that effect, it does so much more when you're actually building a horror movie.
And just like when we did Choose or Die for the first episode, and they have these pretty gory kills, but they don't actually show it happening, and they don't show enough into it. Like, you expected more from the trailer from that movie, so I know I gave it like an 8.5, but I think I'd actually knock it down to like a 7, like you said, because
I was definitely thinking about
when I rewatched it over, I definitely have some gripes with that movie. Still well done, but definitely the way the kills were seen and what they showed and what they didn't show and the ending to that. But that's we're not here to talk about that one, but just bringing that up to say, like, I appreciate Candyman for what it did with the kills and what they showed and gore of this movie. It's very well done.
The thing that I love too with this movie is you have Clive Barker, who it's based off of his story. He's there on set helping them. Have his influence and his touch on it the whole time. Nothing is being changed for the most part. I don't know. I've never read The Forbidden, whether they change characters or something to make it fit. No.
I don't know, but Like was trying to say earlier, like when I'm watching this the first way through, and as I'm watching it, there's things that are happening that I'm disagreeing with, and notably, scene when Helen breaks out of the mental hospital, and she makes her way home, and she finds her husband cheating on her, which you can definitely guess the very beginning that he's doing this.
It the whole time.
Absolutely. I guessed it from the very moment that, he starts coming home late and all that. Like, you just know that he's cheating on her with this girl in his class because he's the professor. But I was irritated at first that when she first got home and she realized that this girl is in her home, painting her home, redoing her whole, like, taking her spot, basically. And, she has this power that she knows she has with Candyman because she literally just had Candyman kill the psych doctor that was evaluating her. That's how she broke out. And, she knows that she has this power. She knows that she can call him to do these things. And she just leaves them. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Her husband.
I get that,
I give her a pass for it. I wonder how much, though, that she actually knows at that time. Maybe she knows at that point, I'll be able to come back, get my revenge.
I don't know. I don't think she did. I don't know why she didn't do it.
But she knows by that point she has to give herself over. Candyman. Surrender the BADUSSY, save the child.
Literally, that was our theme watching this. No, but I get it. I understand what you're saying, but I was torn up when I was first watching that through. Obviously, once the movie plays all the way through and you get to the ending and what happens at the end, that she dies, but then Trevor is in the bathroom and he's crying. He's real upset because his new toy, his wifey that he has now, isn't cooking for him, isn't doing any of the things.
I love how they set this whole scene up because it's such a night and day.
Yes.
Like, it flashes back to Helen in the kitchen from earlier.
Yep.
She's like cooking a home cooked meal. She's grabbing stuff out of the fridge and it's filled with like fruit, vegetables. And then right before that, you have Stacy in the kitchen and she's just like throwing a slab of meat down on the counter and like chopping it up. But all in the fridge is like takeout boxes. You got beer all out, like stashed in the door.
Yeah.
Like, this man is falling apart.
Yes,
because
it's a complete 180 to what Helen was providing for him, and he really took it for granted when, he had it. He, like I said, he was staying out late. He was definitely, very obviously cheating on her. And, he just really took everything that she was doing for him for granted. And it was nice to see in that moment that he regretted it because he was just like, damn, I really miss her. Like, I can't believe this all happened. Like, he cried.
Yeah, he's fully breaking down.
Yes. And I loved to see it. I loved to see it. And then I loved to see that he said her name in the mirror. Like, but I don't even know if he said it 5 times.
No.
He just said it a few times.
It once, but it was probably because it cuts away to Stacy back in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But second that he says the first one, so maybe he did say it 5.
He might. I think, he probably did. I'm assuming since she's kind of taking the role of Candyman. But I love that he's crying and he's looking in the mirror and he's like Stacy, or not Stacy, Helen. Fuck Stacy, right? He's like in the mirror, he's crying, he's like Helen, and then Helen appears behind him and she's just like, she doesn't say do you miss me, but essentially like, what are you like, are you scared? And then she just fucking hooks him.
She says the same thing that she said like when they meet up after she breaks out of the mental hospital. Something like do you fear, like something like that. Are you scared, or just something along those lines, not verbatim, but something like that. And then she just fucking just guts him and he falls into the tub, and then Stacy's like, Trevor and she goes into the fucking bathroom, because she heard him like scream or whatever, and then she goes into the bathroom and he's just completely gutted in the bathtub, and I was just like, yes, like I was screaming. I'm like, yeah, fuck Trevor, and I'm like, yeah, Stacy. I wanted Stacy to die too, but I'm at least glad that even though she didn't die, she got to witness that, and now she's probably like all fucked up in the head. So like, I appreciated that ending. That ending was dope. Yeah, how did Stacy? Oh yeah, the way that Stacy gives herself over to Candyman is
Helen
goes. Oh yeah, Helen.
We keep getting the names.
Fuck Stacy.
Fuck Stacy. We keep getting the names mixed up.
Helen, when she gives herself over to Candyman, you see her going into the project building, Cabrini Green. Yeah, Cabrini Green. She's walking in there and she's going to like Candyman's lair. He's just sleeping there, and she just takes a hook and stabs it right into his neck. What's awesome, though, is you only see, like, a single little blood squirt, and then he's like, you came.
Like, welcome. Give me that BADUSSY.
She does.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, and then she's just, like, kind of set free.
In a way, like, she goes to try to save the baby then, because she hears the baby crying.
Yeah, and he's on the big funeral pyre that they set up to,
Yes.
like, I guess to honor Candyman. Like, every year they do a big pyre, which that's how he died.
Yeah, that was, I was kind of irritated though that the baby was in that pile. Like, why, you know, she did what you wanted. I know, I get it. Like, I do understand it, but I was irritated by that because I'm just like, damn, like, she came, surrendered to you, and you couldn't just give the baby back to the mom. Like, you had to make her go through all this trouble. Like, she went through enough trouble.
He wants her, and he wants the baby.
Yeah, I get it. I just...
Because his kid did his kid die then? I don't know if they killed the kid.
I think they said they did. I think they said they did. I believe they did.
He probably wants the baby too.
Probably. I can see it. I mean, I do, like, I feel really bad for Candyman and what happened. Like, he's definitely a villain that's worth being a villain. Like, 100%. What they did to him, like, yes, Candyman, get it, but...
It's full on just post-Civil War racism.
Yes.
It's just a lynch mob on his ass for impregnating a white woman, and it's horrible.
Yes. I really also I don't know why it reminded me of that, but the very end then when they're burying Helen because she died, and this, you know, all the people that are from Cabrini Green come in, they start marching in, and that was just really powerful to me. And then they threw Candyman's hook into her gravesite right there while they're burying her, and that was really dope. As I'm watching the screen and they all start marching in, I was like, yeah, that's right.
It is like a really powerful
moment. I really love that.
Seeing them all just there.
I did. I love that scene alone was just like, I'd give that a 10 just right there, because they understand the legend, they know what happened to her, and, you know, they're there to pay her respect because she killed their villain. Like, this thing that tormented them and made them scared all this time, she kind of ended it, and they're there to kind of pay her the respect that, you know, she's owed, and that was dope. That was so dope.
And they didn't question her sanity or do any of this shit because they all knew the legend. That all they needed for proof was that one hook from the pyre.
Absolutely.
The second Candyman explodes in that pyre,
and all the bees come out. Yeah. That was dope. I love that ending. I love it.
Then Helen obviously gets burned to a crisp. Not burned to a crisp. She
but succumbs to her injuries of the fire. Yeah,
she gets fucked up. Like, she has no fucking scalp. She has no back.
Yeah, that was something. And I'm as I'm watching and I'm like, there's no way she burned that quick. But, like, you know, obviously they're not going to show you the whole damn thing. You're just supposed to assume
you
that
saw
she was
how
burning.
long that burning log was on her back, though.
I know, I understand that, but, like, the hair thing, her hair caught on fire and it was on fire for, like, what looked like 10 seconds, and then all of a sudden it cuts and her whole face, her ears burned off, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
I made the excuse that, you know how much product is in these people's hair in 1992.
Yeah, that's what he said, and I was like, yeah, I guess that's true. That thing probably fucking caught up real quick, huh? But
it did look like plastic. I guess flesh melting kind of will look like that.
Probably. I mean, I couldn't tell you from experience. I don't fucking know what that looks like, but
I know it bubbles and it kind of falls off.
Yeah, that was. I feel I didn't want her to die, but she had really nothing left for her anyway. So, I mean, her husband was obviously moving on, and if she would have gotten out, they just would have arrested her for the murders of everybody that died around her, even though she didn't do them. It was Candyman. Nobody's gonna believe her. At least not anybody that's, you know, responsible for that type of stuff. Obviously, everybody who's in Cabrini Green, they believe in this legend and this myth of Candyman. They know he's real, but none of these other people, these doctors and these cops and all this, they don't believe her. They think she's crazy. I guess it was an ending worthwhile for her because she would have had nothing else for her. So I can respect that.
And the whole message is really strong in this movie. It's a very political.
For sure.
But it's definitely.
But it's well done.
Such a good watch.
Yeah. It's not
preachy. It's not anything. It's just a good story with characters that you know what's happening in their life. You get the undertones throughout the story, but it's part of their background. It's not just in your face. You need to believe this thing. Morally superior if you believe this. It's like.
It's just well done. I really have. Not a lot of words to describe it, but I think fear or flop. Obviously, I'm gonna give it a fear, and I honestly want to give it. That's what I want to give it a 10. I really can't find much that I can even lower it to like a 9 or a 9.5. I can't. Like I said, there's some things like as I'm watching it that I was kind of irritated with, but the ending just makes up for all of that because it just does. Like the ending is so good. Like I'm surprised that they made more of this. It could have just been well enough alone with just this.
I think it was one of those things where it's like they see the new slasher potential for this big scary guy.
Yeah,
he's 6'5". Yeah, like he is menacing.
Yeah, he's good in that role.
Deep ass voice, his tall stature, like this guy is terrifying when you look at him.
Yes.
So I think it was a lot of that because I'm pretty sure 2 and 3 the quality dips down and it's mostly just about the kills, not so much about the actual story, which this movie is so good with.
Yeah, I definitely have to check out the original remakes that came out. I know we're going to dive into the 2021 shortly, but I want to check out what came directly after this. I'm curious where they took the story. I'm definitely going to watch them. I don't know. We're not going to review them anytime soon for the podcast, but we might put them on the list. And regardless, I'm going to check them out. 100%. I want to know what happens. Like I'm kind of hooked on the story now. Bad pun, but
well, unfortunately, the new one apparently writes off the other 2.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. So that's a plus. We're going to dive into the 2021, which is just a sequel off of this movie that we just watched. So it doesn't include 2 and 3 that came out. Good. Don't got any catching up really to do for this one. We can dive right into it, but I'm curious to see where they take this story. Like I said, if Candyman dies, what happens? Who's Candyman now? Maybe it's. I'm very curious to watch this. Sure, I want to know what happens. I want to know. I want to know. Like I'm hooked. I'm hooked.
I think that's what we have on this movie.
Have in my notes, mirrors are scary.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The dimensions thing. Or as we're watching it, Adam's like, yeah, like, you know, alternate dimensions and all this, and I'm just like, okay, mirrors are scary. So I wrote that in my notes.
I went into like a whole tangent about like how some people believe that. But yeah, people are weird, mirrors are scary.
Yeah, people are weird, mirrors are scary. Got it.
Surrender the BADUSSY, save the child.
Yeah, we should put that in the clip or in the we'll put that in the description.
Yeah.
Surrender the BADUSSY, save the child. I'm really glad though that baby lived. I will say that because that was.
Oh yeah, the baby did not deserve to die.
No, and I was when they first showed the crib all bloody after when she wakes up,
dropped.
right? I did too. I was like, no, not the baby. Like I was so upset. And then, you know, a little bit later, they're like, oh yeah, the baby's missing. It's not dead. And I'm like, what the fuck? What? You just had a bloody ass fucking crib. What do you mean the baby's not dead?
There was.
But I was happy.
So much blood in that dog.
Yeah, that was sad. It's always sad when you see a dead animal like that. But I was torn up over that baby. I really thought that baby was dead, and that mom was like heartbroken, and it was like so upsetting to see her in that state. But I do like the way that Helen reacted to that. And picks up the fucking cleaver on the floor. The first thing that she does as soon as she walks out of the bathroom is grabs the fucking knife. What a dumb bitch. That's all I'm gonna say. Because why would you pick up you have blood all over you and you walk out of the bathroom to see a dog's severed head with a knife next to it, and your first thought is, let me pick up that knife real quick. What the fuck?
I don't understand at all.
I literally yelled at the TV when that happened. I was like, did she really just, yep, she just picked up the knife. What the fuck? She picked up the knife. But, yeah, no, I was just, as soon as she picked it up, I was just like, it's like watching Forensic Files and all those, and they're like, and he left his fingerprint on the doorknob, and you're just like, what a fucking idiot. Like, that's how I felt. And then, you know, she goes over, and the mom's like, you killed my baby, and then the mom tries to attack her, and to get her to stop attacking her, she, like, stabs her in the arm, and I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck are you doing, girl? And then the cops come right in as she has the fucking knife in her hand over this girl's body. And I'm like, yep, you're guilty.
Puts herself in so many terrible situations.
Yes. That's in the beginning. She's way too curious about this thing. Like she goes, if she just wouldn't have been a dumbass in the first place after researching this, and she goes into her mirror and she says Candyman 5 times. For what, bitch? For what? Why would you do that? I'm sorry that I'm calling her a bitch so much. I don't actually mean like bitch, but like I'm just like, why would you do that? Like, why would you? What makes you? Even though I mean, this is obviously a movie and it's not real life, and you would still not catch me in my mirror later tonight saying Candyman 5 times. No, you won't. I will leave. You can do that shit all you want when I leave.
Does it work on a phone camera?
You better shut the fuck up because I will leave. I'm not doing that shit. Why would she do that shit? That was. Yeah, right, Bloody Mary. Okay, shut the fuck up, okay? I'm just saying, like, why would she do that? Like, I understand, like, you probably not like, I know it's not real, but I'm like I said, I'm still not gonna go do it. So I don't understand why she did that. She just wanted to test it out, I guess, and have something for her thesis. But like, why? You would have been alive. Everything would have been good if you just would have not did that. So, dummy. What a fucking dummy. But other than that, I think those are my only, like, the irritating things that bothered me in this movie were just some of the dumb decisions, and, curiosity killed the cat, and it sure fucking did. But other than that, just really well done. I really love this movie. I love the ending. It's definitely a movie that I'm going to check out multiple times. Like I said, I bought it. There's a 2-pack at Walmart right now with the OG, the 1992, and then the 2021. So buy it if you don't have it, or if you have them somewhere, great, watch it. Go watch it right now. It's great.
Very accessible movie.
Yes. I mean, it's not streaming anywhere for free, but it's been out so long that you should, if you're a horror fan, you should probably already have it, or, have access to it somewhere. So, yes, go watch it. Seriously, if you haven't seen it.
Gun.
Yes, if you have not seen it, please go watch it. I mean, if you've stayed this far into the podcast and listened to all the spoilers and you haven't seen it, still go watch it. Seriously, go watch it. It's good. Good. Great, Ethan. You're 10. 10. 10, 10, 10. Let me not say it another time. Yeah, I think that's all we have for part 1. We're going to dive into the 2021 version shortly, and then we will give a review of that as well. It's all going to be in this one podcast, but in this one episode. But this episode is probably going to be a little bit longer than the first 3. But episode 3. This is episode 3, so this one's going to be a little bit longer than the first 2, just because we're doing like 2 movie reviews in one. But it's the same.
It should go together.
Yeah, it should go
when
together.
we do any kind of franchise, try to squeeze them. Just one episode if we can.
Yeah, let's. After Candyman, we're moving into It. So we got 3 movies to sit through. We got the original, and then we got 2017 and 2019.
How long is the miniseries?
Like another 3-hour fucking long movie. Seriously. That's why I really don't like the original. I know I'm going to get shit for that, but I don't like the original. It's good for what it is, and I understand it's a classic, and Tim Curry, I get it. It is a good movie, but if I was going to sit through a 3-hour long movie, I would watch part 1 and part 2 of the remakes first. They're not 3 hours long, but I think they're like 2.
Together they are.
Like 2 or something like that. Like maybe a little.
No, because I would only make them an hour 15, so they'd have to be like 3 hours.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'd rather watch both of those movies before I watch the original one. But I'll sit through it again. Not a problem. Those are next. Those are on deck. So, if you liked it like I liked it. Episode 4. Till then, that's all we have for Candyman, right? You got any last thoughts?
No, I don't have anything else for Candyman. We'll be back for our pre-discussion on Candyman 2021.
Right. See ya.
Well, if you're hearing this, we didn't split the episode.
Yeah, no, I guess not. We were trying to decide what we wanted to do with this. If we were going to make this super long.
It's easier to put it into one.
Yeah, so.
We're sorry you're going to have to listen to us talk for 2 hours.
Yes.
Here we are.
Better than, I think, trying to split it and then have us do Candyman 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so sorry it's going to be a little bit longer, but you can just listen to us multiple days in a row if you want to. While you're driving to work. Making dinner, something. I don't know.
Spotify saves your spot in the playlist if you exit it.
Yeah, I think YouTube does too. I'm sure they all probably do.
Yeah, I think they all do.
They probably all do. So, you can just listen to us bits and pieces throughout your, the next week or something. So, we know it's a little bit long, so sorry for that, but it just makes more sense to do it this way. But we are now moving into Candyman 2021. Directed by Nia DaCosta, and Jordan Peele has his influence in this movie as well as one of the writers, and also I guess kind of like not the director, but kind of basically
producer. Yeah. That's essentially, he had so much to do with this fucking movie. And it just being made that, yeah, it's pretty much his fucking movie.
Yes, so we all know who Jordan Peele is. We all know his significance in the horror community, especially right now, and with elevated horror and all that stuff.
I have some beef with Jordan Peele.
Yeah, he's been saying that, so, I mean, if you want to talk about that, you can go for it, but...
Yeah, it's not like anything... I do like his movies. Like, Get Out was really, really good. Like, I'd love Get Out. And then everything after that is just, like, slowly going downhill, and everything just feels like a rehashing of old shit. Like, everything feels like a rehash of old things with a political message behind it. And it's... Yeah, people are always saying, like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with having messages in your art and shit like that. But it feels preachy. All his movies feel preachy.
I guess I can't really have much of an opinion because I haven't seen most of the movies that he's directed. Like, I haven't seen Get Out, and I know that's been a big one. And, you know, his other... I can't say I've seen any of them, honestly. I don't think I have. And I know that that's embarrassing for me to say, but I'm eager to get into those once we get a little bit farther into the podcast. I do believe that those are on our list. So I do want to check them out. But I've heard similar reviews that you're saying with, like, you know, how it's an elevated type of horror and that, you know...
And I hate... The elevated horror discussion is so fucking stupid to me. I hate it so much. You're watching a horror movie. Shut the fuck up. Stop trying to feel and sound better than everybody else by saying, oh, I'm watching elevated horror. It has more art to it. You're watching a fucking horror movie. Stop being a pretentious douchebag trying to call it something different, like to get Oscar bait or whatever the fuck you're trying to do. It's a fucking horror movie. Stop. You're separating yourself from the other communities within horror and the other subgenres of horror just to feel more... I don't even know what the fucking word is.
Higher status.
Yeah, it's just this morality fucking play.
It's like it doesn't have to be that serious.
No.
It's just, you know, a scary movie. Like,
exactly.
Go back to this.
When we get these preachy movies that come out of people like Jordan Peele and like A24, like Ari Aster's stuff, it's just separating the horror community further and further apart, and it's creating infights. Because all of these pretentious people come in and are like, well, I only watch this, and this, so that makes me automatically better than you because you're watching this dirty, gross old 70s slasher film. Shut the fuck up. You're still watching a slasher film. It just has a little bit more like, oh, well, did they kill? What happened to this person's family?
It's annoying.
Shut up.
It's annoying because it's like an intelligence thing, because that's the argument that they use. Like, oh, you're just not smart enough to understand the meaning and the message behind it. And it's like, it's not that, dude. Just like, I just want to be able to watch it and not have to pick it apart to understand it. You know?
And even understanding it, you can understand something straight off the bat and see what they're meaning. It's when it's shoving the shit down your throat, too, where it's like, you need this symbolism in here. You need to know this symbolism. Fucking take this symbolism. I don't want all symbolism. I want a gory slasher movie that I can watch and turn my brain off to.
I mean, like I said, I can't really give any opinions because I haven't seen them, so I don't want to speak off of just like criticism that I've heard, but I definitely acknowledge that that is something that is being said in the horror community, is that, you know, same opinion that you're having. So I'm interested to see, once we touch on those, if I'm going to have the same thought.
It wasn't such an issue for me until, like, you do start seeing more and you start taking, like, personally, like, you start cherishing older films and stuff that you respect, and it's like all these old movies from Wes Craven, like Last House on the Left and shit like that. Like, those are become, when you start to love them, they become part of your personality and like what you look for in other films. When people come in and start challenging you and saying, well, that's not a real film because it doesn't have this part in it, this weird, in-depth emotional symbolism, they're attacking your personality and like what your taste and shit is for no fucking reason other than just to feel more superior.
Yeah, it's like, why can't we all just love what we love and that's it? Like, why does it have to have some type of like deep alternate meaning that we have to dissect?
It can just be a film. Yeah. It doesn't have to have shit piled onto it.
Yeah, I think that was our biggest gripe with Midsommar. Is just
that's exactly what it is.
All that symbolism
that's why I hate that
you had to like dive into to really understand stand it. It was just too much. And if that's, what elevated horror is, like I said, I've not seen much of it, but if that's what it is, and that feels like it's going to be very annoying to sit through.
No, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's an annoying group of people, and anyone who falls for the whole elevated horror tag is, I hate you.
Well, I hope I don't fall into that when I start watching them, but I am.
I do like some of these movies that are classified as it, but it's just the people that like them are so insufferable. I mean, I guess we're kind of insufferable because we're ranting about horror movies.
Yeah,
but
that's true. But at least it's not on that level of we're better than you because we know this, that, and that. Like, I'm not on that train at all. Like, I feel like my opinion is probably shitty most of the time. So, I'm not, not trying to claim to be this big horror fanatic that I know every little detail about everything. I surely don't. And like I just admitted multiple times, I haven't seen some of these iconic horror movies and even a lot of these Jordan Peele movies. Like, I'm not somebody who has like extensive and better than you type knowledge. I'm just here.
I was telling you, I was listening to the other episodes and I already disagree with some of the opinions that I had. I'm like, that's a really shitty take.
Yeah, like I'm literally just here to have a good time, watch some horror movies that I've already seen and watch some new ones, and then just talk about them. Basically, not trying to
Yeah, I'm just here to talk shit.
Yeah, kind of, but like not in a pretentious type of way. Like just to talk shit.
You'll notice over time, too, the movies that I have, the strongest beef with, I mean, except for Midsummer, that's an outlier on its own. That's actual, fueled pure hatred of that movie. Whereas, other ones that I'd, strongly talk shit on, why did this happen, why did this happen?
Oh, yeah.
I probably love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies, probably.
100% gonna be me with the Pet Sematary remake and the Texas Chainsaw remake. 100%. So... those will be interesting when we get to those, because I know 100% I'm going to shit talk those, and people who like those better are just dumb. Sorry, you're dumb.
The Pet Sematary one specifically.
Yes, that was awful. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
and I think I might have mentioned it before, but I had so much hope for that because of the It remake that just came out right before it, and I was so stoked with that.
The studios get you.
I know, and I was so disappointed when I went to the theaters to watch the new Pet Sematary. I literally left the theater why the fuck did I just watch that?
This is the one tear stream.
Literally. And I mean, I bought the movie after it came out too, because I was like, maybe it really wasn't that bad. Maybe I was just being too critical. I watched it again. No, I was right. What the fuck? So we'll get to those ones later, but back into some Candyman talk. So ratings for the 2021, Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 84%, which is promising. The IMDb is a 5.9 out of 10, and Google has a 74%. So
I've learned to trust the Google review more than anything, just because that's people who are just going to see it.
So I mean, ratings aren't too bad. Looks pretty promising compared to the actual or the original remakes that came out right after the 1992 Candyman. Those ratings are far worse than what this rating is, so I have hope that this will be pretty good.
Cheap ass movies.
Yes.
This had some hype and money behind it.
I actually watched them on my own time after I watched the OG Candyman, and I definitely can agree with the ratings that they were given. I think if anything, they should have stopped at the second one, but the third one was definitely unnecessary and just kind of trying to create this franchise and this slasher that just didn't need to be a slasher into 3 movies like they're...
But then I fall into that boat where I'm like, well, without that second and third movie, would we even have this remake now?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. But like I said, they definitely could have maybe done the second one and then just ended it there. But, they tried to, money talks, I guess, and it didn't go too well because obviously they didn't make a fourth one because the third one kind of flopped, so... I mean, if you count this as the fourth one, kind of, but it's piggybacking off of the 1992, so it's totally ignoring the 2 remakes that came out right after. So, interesting take that they're going to have here. I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to give any spoilers away.
I know next to nothing about this movie at all.
I have some theories and some things that I was seeing as I was researching, but again, I don't want to go into it until we cut to part 2 of this part. So I'll get into it, but
yeah, I've tried staying away from this because of like the whole Jordan Peele thing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, do I really want to try to sit through another one where I'm like, I don't even like it at the end? But from what I do know, I'm hoping that it's good.
yeah. I mean, Tony Todd is listed in the cast information, so he's gonna have some role
That's pretty
in here.
much what makes it for me.
Yeah.
Like, as long as Tony Todd's in it, all right, cool.
Yeah, so
We Gucci.
I'm curious to see what his role is and what they're reprising his role as, but we don't know much, so we'll let you know part 2 of this part. But curious to see, hopeful that he has an impactful role, but that's all we really know.
It's definitely going to be nice going into this movie not knowing anything, I think, because usually so much shit's given away in trailers and whatnot, but this is the first one where I think I haven't looked at it because I just didn't care enough.
Yeah.
So I'm genuinely clueless when it comes to this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I feel like you can gather some theories just by watching the trailer, which is kind of like where I'm at in my head right now, but I'm not going to like project what I'm thinking because I could be completely wrong and I don't want to sound like an idiot. We really don't know anything going into this, but that's going to be interesting and I can't wait to see what they did with this remake compared to the ones that they did in the 90s.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to sit down and watch this.
100%.
All right, let's get into it.
All right.
Candyman. The urban legend is, if you say his name 5 times while looking in the mirror, he appears in the reflection and kills you.
Who would do that?
Candyman. 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 Candyman.
Well, we're still alive. Let's go.
Trina, you've broken the door.
This isn't funny!
I feel really connected to this neighborhood. Cabrini Green. It was the projects. I just moved in around the corner.
The old candy factory.
I'm an artist.
You looking for Candyman? He's the monster that's part of this neighborhood.
Why are you drawn to this?
I'm hoping to spread the story all about Candyman. The mirror invites you to summon him. You should say his name. I dare you.
Candyman.
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 All right, and we're back with part 2 of Candyman.
Yeah.
It's a 2021
Yes.
movie.
Original, or right off the bat, thinking is that I did not enjoy this as much as I enjoyed the original.
No, I'm so disappointed in it. It's not good.
Yeah, I had really high hopes coming in just because of, Jordan Peele being involved and just this level of horror that we are used to. And I am disappointed, I guess. Like, it was a well-done movie, artistically and like in that aspect of things, like it was really well done, but I just feel like there's a lot of things that they missed the mark on this one.
Yeah.
And spoiler warning again last time going forward, because now we're going to get into some details, but just the whole with Anthony being the baby in the original movie, they really did not do a good storytelling of that. Like, you don't even...
No, you find out in literally, the last 15-20 minutes of the movie that he's the actual baby from the first movie. And then, you see his mom for that 5 minutes. It doesn't go anywhere, but you're already at the end of the movie by the time you find it out, and there's no reason for it at all whatsoever. There's no payoff. Okay, cool. Why did Candyman choose him? And to get there, it takes so many leaps in the timeline and just logic of what's happening. The curse is obviously real because he's there's this whole body horror aspect of it. So yeah, he's morphing into Candyman throughout the whole movie. But why?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And just logically, he took way too long to get himself to a hospital.
Oh my god, the whole fucking movie I'm complaining because literally it takes 50 minutes of the movie to go by before he's finally admitted into a hospital.
Yep.
And even then, he gets a bandage wrapped around his fucking, like,
Rotting
deforming
flesh.
fucking, rotting, bubbling flesh off his fucking arm. Like, literally, like, out of The Fly. Like, his nails are coming off, his, like, whole hand, like, skin's peeling. No one says anything until 50 minutes into the fucking movie, and it happens in the first 20 minutes.
That was one of the biggest, like, logic things that I'm just, like, watching this movie, and I'm like, nobody...
And even so, like, when it's actually acknowledged, nobody actually says, you should go to the doctor.
Right.
They say, ew.
Yeah.
Like, okay, thanks for the fucking concern. You're a fucking asshole.
Yeah, and then it just starts spreading all the way up his arm and into his face and all that.
Half his body is consumed by, like, this weird honeycomb-ish, like, looking skin.
We definitely understand the symbolism and what it's supposed to mean, but no, it doesn't make sense. Like, why? As soon as I were to notice that my bee sting is, like, getting infected or some type of, like...
His skin is literally rotting.
Yeah, I would go to the emergency room, like, right away. Right away.
Yeah,
not several days after when it starts spreading up my arm.
And it's not like he's some broke fucking, like, just poor person. Like, he's living in, like, a penthouse apartment with his girlfriend. They're both fucking artists.
Yeah.
Or she's running, like, galleries and shit. They're well off.
Yeah.
They all have nice fucking houses. They're all in penthouses. Everyone in this movie is rich.
Yeah.
No one is broke. Why the fuck aren't you going to the fucking doctor?
Yeah, they all live in the now gentrified Cabrini Green neighborhood. It is no
And they don't even, like, spend any time on that, really. They, like, mention it, like, oh yeah, this block was Cabrini Green.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any fucking relevance to, like, the original story at all.
That's, like I said previously, I did go back and visit the sequels that came out right after the fact. So the 1995, I think it's like Farewell to the Flesh, which is the one that came out in 1995, which was the first sequel of the original. I enjoyed that, I think, at least 4 times better than I enjoyed this movie. And I think that sequel did a better job continuing the story of Candyman, even though, in my opinion, I still feel like it should have ended after the first movie because that movie was just so well done. Like, 100%, the ending was perfect. Everything was perfect about that movie that it should have just ended there. But watching the 1995 Farewell to the Flesh, I could definitely respect that one more than I can respect this one, and I think it did a better job. Just from, my personal take, I'm sure I might be alone in that thinking. I'm sure some people think that this remake was well done and terrific, and I do appreciate the fact that...
I feel like that's the point, like, the perspective people who haven't actually sat and watched the old one. Or, like, they watched some of it and were like, oh yeah, it's close enough. It's like,
yeah, I guess. I can appreciate the fact that, Tony Todd does have a role in this movie, even though it is super small. It's at the very end for like 10 seconds. He's at least in here. And that's another one of our dislikes of this movie is the fact that there are multiple Candymen and not a Candyman. It's, I understand the symbolism.
There's no reason why we have to... I get... Yeah, there is symbolism there. Like, that generational racism and everything throughout history. It just keeps repeating itself.
Yeah.
But you can still tell that story in only having 2 characters. Bringing that third character in, it completely, like, there's no reason for it. It throws off just more information trying to come into your brain throughout the whole movie, because now you have to pay attention to this third character who got scared by a weird, like, pedo guy.
Yeah.
Like, literally just an old dude with a hook who gave out candy. He was scared by him and got him killed. So now, all of a sudden, that means we have to bring the old baby who got rescued in, and then he has to become Candyman so I can solve my trauma. No connections in this movie make any sense whatsoever.
And it's disappointing because, if you think about the overall theme, bringing back the baby and having him be a main focus of the movie is a good idea. like when I came into this movie, I kind of knew that beforehand. That was one of the things that I had read and saw that I assumed was going to happen in this movie, that they were bringing back this baby, because his name it's the same as his mom, Anne Marie McCoy, and his name's Anthony McCoy. So you can kind of put the connections together, and I assumed that he was going to have a role in this, and that's what it was going to be. So I was, stoked to kind of see where they were going to take that. And then, like we said, they only mentioned it like at the very end of the movie, and it really played no relevance into the rest of the story.
Nothing in this you're switching perspectives between like 4 different people this entire movie. You're just getting scenes. It's just random scenes stitched together by like the common thread of like Anthony throughout the whole movie. But none of them have any relevance to the story. It doesn't make any sense why any of this is happening.
Yeah, no, and
why is it happening again? Because Anthony's near Cabrini Green?
I mean, maybe.
Okay, cool. I don't care. Yeah. There's nothing to care about.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, bringing in this fact that there are now multiple Candymen and not just a Candyman, I think it really, like, takes away from the iconic character that Tony Todd played in the original. Like, he was such a scary dude, and it was such an iconic role.
I think that's what fucks up the whole, like, the entire storyline of this movie. I think it fucks it up when you add that second Candyman in. Because why the fuck would it have to happen to the baby from the last one? If it's happening constantly throughout history to different people, it doesn't have to be the kid. It so happens to have been the kid from the first movie. So you completely lose any bit of emotion tying you to that child.
That's true too. I didn't even think about that, but just the fact that they had to have multiple, like, it just takes away from the original. And that's true though with the baby too. Like, what was the point then?
Yeah, there's no point, because it's just going to happen to somebody else.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to be the kid. It doesn't have to have this weird drawing, like, tying together from the first movie. You don't care.
It's just messy.
Yeah, it's messy.
It's just messy.
And there's 3 writers on this movie, so I could definitely see where it could get fucked up.
Yeah, where it can.
Clive Barker isn't in this. Like, you can tell Clive Barker was not anywhere near this fucking movie, because none of this movie has his touch on it. It would have been so much more tied together if this fucking movie had him on it.
Yeah, and I mean, I do want to say that I appreciate that, in this movie they have a character that's named Clive, and they also have a character that is named Anthony Tony. So obviously, giving the recognition to Clive Barker and giving the recognition to Tony Todd, who played the original Candyman. So I thought that was a cool touch to have, but that obviously doesn't mean that it makes the movie any better. It was just like a cool thing to put in there, and like kind of like the new Scream did when they named one of the characters Wes after Wes Craven. So like that was a cool aspect of it, but you obviously can't hold a movie down with just that. But I did appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's what everything seemed to just be. It was just like all references.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense why it's there. It is just his own story that's just thrown in with aspects from the original to just say that it's part of the Candyman universe.
Just trying to pay homage to the original, I guess, but like if you were really going to do that.
It doesn't do it well.
No, that's what I mean. If you were really going to do that, you should have like told a better story. And
yeah, exactly.
It's disappointing is really the only thing that I can say, because I really did have high hopes coming into it, because I really enjoyed the original, and I didn't hate the remakes. I know the remakes get like shit on a lot, especially the third one, and I don't think I liked the third one that much, but the second one's really not that bad when you compare it to this one, the 2021. It's just not. I think that they told the story so much better, and having this fact of it was still just playing on the Candyman, Tony Todd's character, and just going off of this legacy that he left behind because of the child that he had with Caroline, and it goes off of that and their family bloodline, and I appreciate that story so much better than what this remake just tried to do by taking the baby that was in the original and trying to go off of his storyline, but then not even really going off of his storyline. Just kind of all over the place with a whole bunch of different characters, and it just,
Every single character in this movie is so unlikable, including the main characters, because they're just rich, snobby artists.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any, like, oh, these are real people like the original had. You see that aspect of the projects and everything, and when you're watching the first one, you see the real people, how they're being affected by stuff. The only sliver of that you have is Anthony's mom at the end, but she's there for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You have no emotional connection to her at all, except from what you do from the first movie that carries over.
Yeah, that's true too.
So much of this relies on that emotional connection, the first one, but it's not a good story.
No. And that's true as well, because, like, you know, as the people are dying in this movie, there's no connection to the characters. Like, the first deaths in this movie are the, I think the dude's, one of the art directors, his name is Clive, and this, you know, summer intern that they joke about that he's having relationships with, they both die cleaning up the art gallery that they were just doing. And it's like, the whole time you're just like, you know, well, like, they deserve it. They're shitty anyway.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with the critic that dies then. The critic lady, she, you know, shit-talked Anthony's project the whole time that they were at the exhibit, and like, oh, it's just this, it's just that, like, it's not good. And then all of a sudden he starts getting attention in the media, and then she wants to have an interview with him and wants to act all like, oh, this is so interesting, like, I just want to get a few quotes from you, blah 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 blah. And then, you know, she dies and you're just like, deserved. Like, none of these deaths, like, could you have any attachment to.
Anthony himself, you can't even be like, well, I'm rooting for Anthony because he deserves, like, the good press for this. His art's not that good. His art's not that good. He's just so defensive about everything to the point where he's unlikable, because it's just, you're just defending your shit for no reason. Like, it's not good. You're literally here because your girlfriend brought you here.
Yeah.
Like, your girlfriend is the art director here, helping out this art director. She's the reason why you're here. Your stuff's not that good, and you're just being an asshole to everybody who says anything wrong about it.
Yeah, like, should be able
But then the people who are actually saying wrong, like, critiquing it and saying shitty things about it, are saying really shitty things about it, and are just, like, the worst of the worst things that you could possibly say. So it's like, everybody is just so, I hate you all. You're all so snobby, so fucking rich. There's not a real down-to-earth person in this movie.
Yeah, it's like I said, like, I really had high hopes with, you know, the baby theme going on, and I really was hoping that they were going to do that justice, and I don't feel that they did. And like I said, you know, the reviews for this movie weren't that awful, so coming into this, I really didn't expect this.
I think it's mostly like Midsummer again. It looks nice, and the cinematography is good, and there's good, like, subtle things thrown throughout it, like in mirrors and shit.
I guess we're just not smart enough to understand it.
Oh yeah, totally.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's what
all
it
of
is.
the fucking.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't get me started.
I think I did.
I'll go off.
I did think that the you know, the aspect with the mirrors that they put in this was interesting. A way to display Candyman. Because in the original one of the notes that we wrote down was mirrors are scary, and then in this one, mirrors are extra scary.
Oh, yeah.
So, like,
mirrors are terrifying.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, I liked that part. Like, the kills in this was okay. Like, that was a good part of this. But just the story in general and the way that they tried to play it, and just, yeah, it's a flop from me.
Yeah, it's like a flop 6, I think.
I don't know if I'd give it that high. Like, I'd probably give it like a flop 3 or 4, just because, like, you know, it is a nicely put together movie, like, graphic wise and things like that. Like, I appreciate it for that.
It looks nice, but the fucking story is so thrown together. It's just random scenes of stuff that are just tied together.
I know. I
hate it.
I'll give it a flop 4 for now, and I feel like maybe once I watch it again, maybe I'll change that, or I'll feel a little bit differently. But I'll stick with a flop 4. I'm not gonna go super high into it, but I expected more. That's all I'll say. I'm disappointed with the direction that they decided to take it. Fully understand why they were taking that approach, and, you know, I respect that. But I just hoped for more. I thought there would be more of it.
No, I'm gonna stop you for a second because this movie is literally just a random fucking tying of scenes together. Because what the fuck was the scene in the bathroom with the girls? That was literally in there for no fucking reason other to just like raise the body count of this movie.
And actually, speaking of, they never showed what happened to the little girl that was in the
No, they
stall.
never show anything. What the fuck is that scene for? Just to raise the body count. That is all this fucking movie is.
Yeah.
It's fucking like shitty art critics talking to each other for an hour of a movie and then trying to be a slasher for like half an hour.
Yeah. That's actually bothering me right now because they didn't explain what happened to that girl. Like, is she going to get in trouble for it, or like what happened? I mean, obviously she's probably going to get blamed for it because she was in the bathroom and somebody's going to come in and like there's 4 girls murdered on the fucking floor and she's the only one there.
Well, it's that the girl was at the art show exhibit at the start.
One of the girls got murdered.
Then why was she there? Was it just literally there so she could die at the end of the fucking movie with her 3 other fucking bully friends?
Probably.
It's so I hate it. It's not a good movie. It's really not.
I definitely did not anticipate to have another flop so soon. We literally just had a flop with Midsommar. I did not think we were coming into a flop so quickly. But, I mean, Candyman OG got a fear. So that one, you know, I guess
I love... Like, this movie reinforces my love for the first one so much more.
Yeah, absolutely. So much better, like, content. And just it was so much better, the original one. And it's really disappointing the way that they took this one. Again, understand it. I'm not too dumb to get what it's supposed to be representing, but I just...
No, it's like, it's not... This isn't subtle about what the message is trying to be at all. Like, it's thinly veiled.
Yeah.
Like, there is literally no way of misinterpreting this movie. But that's also what makes it bad, because there's no subtlety in it.
Yeah.
So it's not like... You can't feel like you're drawing your own conclusions. It feels like your conclusions are being thrown down your throat.
Yeah.
So it feels preachy.
Yeah, that's definitely curious to see if that's like one of the like criticisms of this movie. It probably is just because of it being
the criticism with all elevated horror. It's just
too preachy.
thinly veiled messages, pretending that it's subtle like symbolism, but it's not.
True. Another thing that I really did like in this movie, though, is the portrayal of the puppets and like how they tell the story of Candyman with the puppet stuff. Like, I love any movie that like incorporates that type of scenery in it. It's just
gives you like that Tim Burton vibe.
Yeah, it's just like a creepy vibe that is just like so cool to watch. Like, honestly, I'd be down to watch this movie again if it was just that the whole movie. Like, show me this whole story again and just the little puppeteer things, and I will watch it like 10 times. Like, I loved that part 100%. Of it. And also, if you want to bring up, you know, when Anthony's character is taking photographs of, you know, this rundown neighborhood, I believe it was probably the rest of what was left of Cabrini Green, and, you know, he's taking pictures, and then he gets stung by a bee as he's taking pictures. And me and Adam are looking at each other, and as things start developing, we're just like, Spider-Man? Tobey Maguire, is that you?
Really? It's fucking Spider-Man. Literally taking pictures, gets stung by a bee, and his fucking morphs into Candyman. It's fucking Spider-Man.
We were cracking up when we kind of like came to that conclusion when we were watching it. We're just like, wait a minute, that
and
looks
we called
familiar.
It immediately. We were like, that hand's gonna fall off, and then he's gonna become Candyman. It's the Spider-Man. Cool.
It didn't exactly happen that way, but his hand did get all fucked up and then, you know, gets chopped off at the end by the fucking laundromat guy. But, like, yeah, it was just funny when he got sung. We were just like, Spider-Man? So that was a funny
guess
take.
If you're taking from Sam Raimi, who's also another horror director, then Spider-Man maybe not be the choice to take from, considering it's not a horror movie.
Yeah. I just thought that was funny. I just wanted to mention that.
It's not a good movie. Don't watch it.
Well,
watch the first one and then don't watch this one because it ruins doesn't ruin the first one. That just makes the first one better.
I
guess watch it. Yeah.
Hey, I'm not going to tell you not to watch it. I'd actually recommend you do watch it just to kind of have your own take. It's only like an hour and 30 minutes anyway. It's not a super long movie to sit through. Now, if it was 3 hours long, I probably wouldn't recommend it. But it's only like an hour and 30 minutes. It's like literally as long as the original Candyman was. Literally the exact same amount of time. So if you can sit through that one, definitely sit through this.
3 minutes of credits.
Yeah, so it's not terrible. You could definitely sit through it. The scenery, everything is fine. So I wouldn't give it a flop and then tell you not to go watch it. Definitely go check it out. But also, if you haven't seen the original remakes, the 1995, and I don't know what year the other one came out, but the third one then.
Those are sequels. Those are not remakes.
Well, the sequels that came out after the 1992 one. If you haven't seen those, go check those out. I did actually like the second one, the 1995 one, Farewell to the Flesh. I thought that one was pretty cool. The third one, you could probably skip that one and not miss that much. That one was kind of
said that one pretty much everybody kind of pans.
Yeah, the critic ratings for that is like a 7% or some shit like that, and it's well deserved because that one just made no sense. Worse than this one. Like this one made no sense, but that third one just no. So just go watch the OG 1992, watch the 1995, and then come watch this 2021, and you should be able to get a clear conclusion and appreciate. You'll obviously probably have a favorite, which should obviously be the 1992 original Candyman. You should not have any other opinion other than that. But go watch them, check them out. Worth watching and diving into. So, on that note, that's the end of the Candyman talk. So we will be moving into
an hour and a half later.
Yeah.
We're finally done.
Yes.
With both Candyman and the remake.
We will be moving into the It universe next.
Yes.
So those are on deck. We're going to dive into the OG one with Tim Curry, and then we are also going to do Part 1 and Part 2, the ones that just recently came out a few years ago.
Which I don't think it's even a bad take to say that chapters 1 and 2 are the better movies.
100%.
Like, I don't think it is even a bad take to say anymore.
You'd be surprised, though. Whenever this movie's brought up, people get real offended when they're like, oh,
it's
you
all
like
nostalgia. It's better.
I get
New
that.
movies are better. Fuck them.
I know. That's how I feel. But, I mean, you have people who are, like, die-hard, the OG fans, and they're just like, there's no better Pennywise than Tim Curry. And it's like, oh, Bill Skarsgård did a pretty fucking bang-up job. I don't know what you're talking about. I get it. Tim Curry's obviously the best. Like, it's Tim Curry. But don't disrespect Bill Skarsgård.
I'll get into my Tim Curry love in the next episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about all that in the next episode. But that's what's to come. Hope you'll stick around. Hope you appreciated what we had to say about these, even though they might not be the hot take. But that's our opinions, and take that with what you will. Grain of salt, whatever. But
that's all we have for this week.
Yeah.
All right. Follow us, rate, like, subscribe, do all the things.
Go follow our TikTok.
Yep, don't forget to follow the TikTok. That one's important.
Yeah, want to go live for you guys, so go follow that TikTok. The Deadlight Society everywhere. You can also email us movie suggestions or, message us on our Facebook page, whatever it is. Any suggestions, commentary, whatever, just hit us up. And we will see you next week.
Yep, peace.
Peace.